Hello, as part of a series I'm doing called Revelation Decoded, I thought that I might do some key verses from the book of Revelation in a series here. And so, why not begin with the very first verse of the book of Revelation, Revelation 1 1, some Greek for you to chew on. So, let me go ahead and pronounce this first line. See if you can, if you know any Greek. You might learn some Greek if you go along with this. Here's how I would pronounce it Apocalypsis Jesu Christou, ein edoken auto hotheos. Now, if you know modern Greek, and in fact, if you know the reconstructed Greek from the time of Jesus, you'll be saying, "Why are you pronouncing it like that?" So, for example, A's were e, so Jesu, een, and so forth. But I'm going to use the oldie but a goodie Erasmian pronunciation, if you don't mind. So, what is apocalypsis? It is revelation. In fact, you might notice that the word apocalypse, comes from apocalypsis, and it means revelation. So, what do we call the book? We call it Revelation, the book of Revelation, or we call it the Apocalypse. And so, both names go with the first word of the book. An apocalypse today is like nuclear holocaust, boom, that kind of thing. An apocalypse back then was a particular kind of Jewish literature. And if you look at my materials for chapter 1, Revelation Decoded, we'll talk about what an apocalypse actually is. And I don't know whether I'll make public my video, but you may have access, depending on where you're watching this video, you may have access to a video, Revelation Decoded. What is this book? But anyway, the revelation of Jesus Christ. So, this is a genitive. Genitive in Greek means you put the word of in front of it. Where does this of come from? It doesn't come from a word. It comes from the ending. It's of. The revelation of Jesus, comma, Christ. Christ is telling us about Jesus. We call that apposition. But anyway, the revelation of Jesus, who is the Christ, which God gave him. So, hain is the relative pronoun. It's a who or this, which or that. It's the revelation that God gave Jesus. God is the subject here. God gave it. If this is your first video on Greek, you're like, well, why didn't God come first? God comes last. Well, Greek doesn't do things the way English does. The word order of Greek is not the same as the word order of English, and the subject can pretty much come anywhere. It is this ending letters, os and hotheos. Those ho and os tell us that it's nominative. That means it's the subject. You have to fly by the instruments. You don't look out the window of the airplane. You have to fly by what the instruments are telling you, or else you'll crash. And so hotheos is the subject. God is the one giving. I know that because of the endings. Edoken. Well, this is a bit of a complicated word. For those of you who are a little bit more advanced in Greek, I'll tell you, if you don't know anything about Greek, close your ears. La, 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 la. So this is do in the middle. See, do. It's a gift, a donation. The word donation is related historically. On the front is what's called an augment. It says, this verb is past tense. And that's why it's gave rather than give. The kappa is misleading. But I know because I've learned some Greek over the years that edoken here is what's called an aorist tense. Those of you who know a little bit of Greek, just enough to be dangerous, might be saying, kappa's perfect, kappa's perfect. You're wrong, Ken, it's not. Well, this is called a me verb, didomi. The word is didomi. And with me verbs, kappa is often an aorist as well. So God gave. A nu with an epsilon in front of it is a movable nu. Throw it away. It's a phonetic thing to help the sound. So it's edokenautu rather than edokeautu. You'd have to stop. The nu makes it flow. Edokenautu. So the nu is meaningless. It just helps the sound. An so is the real ending. And epsilon is a very common third-person singular past tense ending. And it's past tense. We know that. We've already said it's aorist. And the subject is God, who is grammatically a he, and so that is a third person, he, she, or it. So, which God gave to him. That omega with the with the iota subscript hanging on for dear life, I'm still here. That is a dative case, and that's where the to comes from. So if of jumps out of the genitive ending, to jumps out of the omega ending, which God gave to him. This all is called a relative clause because it's relating something about Jesus. Who is this Jesus? It's the revelation of Jesus. Well, which Jesus are you talking about? Well, or I'm sorry, which revelation are you talking about? It's the revelation that God gave to Jesus. So now we know that this revelation of Jesus Christ is not primarily about revealing Jesus, but it's about a revelation that God gave to Jesus to reveal to us. It's a revelation from Jesus Christ, in other words, that God gave to him. So God gave it to Jesus, and Jesus is giving us to us. Jesus is the messenger. Hein is called a relative pronoun. It's like a noun ending without a word, and that's the relative pronoun. And then a relative pronoun introduces a relative clause. Woo! That was a lot of Greek. I didn't know there would be Greek on this. Well, it's a Greek video. Of course there is. So see if you can pronounce this if you want to. Here's how I would do it. Deixai tois doulois autou ha de. Deixai is what's called an infinitive, and it means to show. So God gave this revelation to Jesus to show to his servants, which includes us, although originally it was 7 churches in Asia, Sardis and Smyrna and Ephesus and so forth, to show. So this is an infinitive. 6 out of 7 infinitives end in I, and there's an I. The other ending is ein, by the way, but this is an I ending, alpha iota. The xi is the key to a hidden sigma, and so it's psi, and it's crashed into the word and become a xi in the crash. But anyway, the word is actually deiknumi. You're like, wait a minute, how can that be deiknumi? That sounds like there's a whole lot more letters in there than are showing. Sorry, languages are messy. But the k of deiknumi crashed into the sa of psi. By the way, sigma alpha is an aorist, so this is an aorist infinitive, aorist active infinitive. So the k and the s crashed together and made a xi. So this is an aorist active infinitive from deiknumi. So it's a revelation of Jesus Christ that God gave him to show to the servants of him. See the u? That's where the of came from, just like u. That's where the of came from. Ois is a dative plural. So omega with a subscript, I'm still here, is a singular, a masculine singular dative. But this is a dative plural, ois. Ois, baby. This is a dative plural, and that's where the to comes from here. It is masculine also, but masculine plural. So the revelation of Jesus Christ, which God gave him to show to his servants, and what is he showing him? He's showing him, he's showing him the things necessary. Ha is also a relative pronoun. It's an ending without a word. It's a neuter plural alpha. Bingo! Neuter plural alpha, which is where those things comes from. And the that is the relative pronoun part of it. So he showed him those things that it is necessary. De is a third person singular. It is necessary. So the revelation is to show God's servants things that are necessary. Genesthai and take, kai esemanen apostelas dia tu angelou autu. Anyway, so genesthai is to become or to come to be. 6 out of 7 infinitives end in I, and there's an I right there. I. The st tells me normally would tell me that it's passive, but this verb is just weird. We call it deponent. That means it always looks middle or passive, but it's actually active. To come to be. You can't translate that passively, to be honest. I'll stop there. Gen is like to be, generate, to become, to come to be, to become. Things that are necessary to come to be or to become. So it's aorist. How do I know that? Because gen is aorist. I've just memorized it. Aorist, passive in form, but we'll say aorist deponent, and then infinitive. From ginomai is the word, ginomai, to become. Things that are necessary to become entake, or if you want to go with the Koine pronunciation, entaki, which means in haste or in quickness. Quickly, in other words. Entake means quickly. Things that are necessary to happen soon, quickly. And, kai means and, asemanen, or if you want to go with the old pronunciation, the Koine pronunciation, esimenen, things that are necessary to happen quickly that God signaled, he showed, he signed it, having sent through his messenger, to his, and the messenger is Jesus in this case, to his servant John. So having sent through his angel, through his messenger, Jesus, to his servant, there's that omega with a subscript, I'm still here, dative singular, to his servant, or literally to the servant of him, and who is this servant of him? It's John. Wow, this has taken 10 minutes. I had another slide to do verses 2 and 3, but I think you've probably had enough. Watch this video a million times until you have it all memorized. But just to tell you some stuff, this is an aorist from semino, which means to signal or to sign. Semiotics, you may know that word. Epsilon tells me it's past tense. It's an augment, just like edoken. Nu with an epsilon in front of it is a movable nu, throw it away. That epsilon is third person singular. He signaled. How do I know it's aorist? I know it's past tense because of the augment, but I know it's aorist because the word was semino, and that's a particular kind of verb called a liquid verb because its stem ends in a n, which is a liquid consonant. It flows as long as you have breath. And so with liquid verbs, a lot of times what happens is stuff in the middle gets messed up when it's in the aorist. So the iota has gone away. That's very peculiar, but anyway. So this is aorist active indicative third singular from semino, I believe. This is also aorist. It's another liquid verb. You might be saying, well, where's the augment if it's aorist? Who said it was aorist? I did. It's an aorist verb. It's from apostello. How do I know it's aorist? It's lost one of its lambdas. That happens in the aorist of liquid lambda verbs. It was apostello, and you'll see that it's internally changed it to a. It's called internal lengthening. Happens with the aorist of liquid verbs that have an epsilon in the middle. Normally the augment would be here where the omicron is, but this is a participle. A participle, and participles don't do augments, and so it's having sent. See the ing word for the participle? It's aorist, so having is where the ing comes in. Having sent. And God signaled it, having sent through his messenger to his servant John. Whew, I feel like that's an awful lot. If you don't know any Greek, that was very confusing for you, I'm sure. If you even if you know some Greek, that may have been, please slow down, Ken. Well, put it on half speed and do it again. This has been Revelation 1:1 as part of my my Greek that goes along with Revelation Decoded.